What's up, guys? It's your boy LucidDryft here, coming at you with my very first video of the Heartbroken segment. So I thought that this would be a good place to start with the topic of loneliness. I would say loneliness is going to be probably the most difficult thing you're going to experience upon going through a massive heartbreak, and it's probably going to be the one state or emotion that you're going to experience longitudinally, right? Like over a long period of time. And it can be a real killer if you let it. But there's definitely ways to manage loneliness if you so choose to accept the challenge and to practice a lot of discipline and be strong. So you can really convert it into something that makes you a stronger person. And that's really our goal with this segment, right? We're trying to become the best versions of ourselves. So I want to start off with a quote that I found here, and here's how it goes. Keep in mind that to avoid loneliness, many people need both a social circle and intimate attachment. Having just one of two may still leave you feeling lonely. And this is a quote from Gretchen Rubin. Just based off of my own personal experience, I really do actually agree with this quote. As much as I want to kind of distance myself from being dependent on another person to feel good about myself, an external force to feel good about myself, as a human being, as a Homo sapien, I think there is a natural tendency to want to have another sentient human being to be there for you in your time of need, to help pull you out of this freaking abyss, this mess of a situation. And that's going to be a really difficult thing to manage, right? This is something that you don't have complete control over. Maybe some of us don't have amazing friends or family, social circles to kind of help us out. And obviously, if we're experiencing this kind of loneliness after a breakup, chances are we've lost our intimate attachment. So from the gate, we're already down one important kind of crux to all of this. So how do we go about managing this stuff? Well, just from my own experience, and obviously this isn't going to be a cure-all, everyone's going to have their own way of coping with loneliness, but I think a really good way to cope with loneliness is to start with the idea of kind of loving yourself, really. And I know that sounds really hokey, but I feel like loneliness is our way. The reason loneliness sucks so much is because we're trying to avoid being one with ourselves, right? We're avoiding our thoughts, we're avoiding our negative feelings and attitudes towards who we are, and so we reach out to things outside of ourselves to make us feel good, to give us validation, right? Validation. Ideally, you want to get to the point where you don't need that validation, where you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, despite all of the bad shit I've done or all of the bad shit that this person has made me experience, I feel pretty fucking good about myself. And that's where we want to get to, right? We want to become the best version of ourselves. And you're not going to get there if you don't learn to really respect and love yourself. So super cheesy, but I really do think that it starts with, it starts mentally. It starts with an attitude change about how you feel about yourself. And just from my own experience, maybe a year and a half ago, I've definitely gotten to the point where I can look at myself and think of the things that I do and say to myself, this is really cool. I feel I'm proud of myself. I've really I've really practiced this discipline and restraint and really dove into just this kind of newfound independence and found a part of myself that I didn't know existed. And that's part of why your breakup is going to be a good thing for you. You're going to find bits of yourself that you never knew existed because you never had to dive into them because you had this person here to make you feel good. Well, I would hope they made you feel good about a lot of the things you did. And if they didn't, then chances are you probably weren't focused on, becoming better, because you were probably trying to fix the things that they didn't like about you. So again, it really does start off with just kind of changing your perception of yourself, really learn to love yourself. And then I would say, challenge yourself, really challenge yourself. Try doing activities that you normally wouldn't do, or you wouldn't have done had you still been with this significant other. For myself, I really love riding a motorcycle. Now, granted, I didn't start riding a motorcycle due to my breakup, but for example, riding far away, I only ride just kind of in town. Like, I don't do any cross-country riding or anything like that. But actually, hopefully when the weather gets nice, like, I actually do plan to take my bike out and to really just go as far as I can and just experience a side of riding that I've never done before, to really put myself out there. And so you really should try and do that for yourself. Really try and do something, a solo activity, something you're going to experience just kind of by yourself. Really dive into this activity and hopefully try and lose yourself. And I guarantee you're probably going to really come across something that makes you go, whoa, like, I rock. You really need to kind of like bring yourself up again after losing this person, because you're going to be feeling like shit. So definitely, definitely dive into a new hobby, or take your current hobbies to just a new level. And I guarantee you'll be quite impressed with what you're able to accomplish now that you're so conscious on challenging yourself. And as far as like, if I could like offer any further advice in terms of like coping with loneliness, I would say, and this kind of goes into the idea of reframing in your mind your own perception of yourself. Instead of seeing your loneliness as kind of the world rejecting you, because chances are you're going to feel like, I don't fit in here. I don't fit into this particular space, and so I've been outcasted. Instead of perceiving it that way, I would challenge you to perhaps see it as not so much as a rejection, but that you've now become, you've shifted your role. You've become something different. You've become an observer of the world. Instead of you being a part of everything that's going on, you were kind of away from everything, looking in with your telescope, and you were gathering all sorts of new information that you can use as tools to better yourself. I know just from my own experience, I did a lot of solo traveling, and just from, observing people like doing just everyday stuff, mundane things, taking pictures, eating at restaurants, just everyday stuff, I really did learn to kind of be okay with not being a part of it. Like, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. I was able to honestly actually kind of appreciate the mundane things, the small things that just go on in our lives every day. And I really think that idea of learning to appreciate the really small things can really help you cope with being lonely, because you're going to lose. Everything is going to have basically its color sucked away. All the things that you used to enjoy are going to become very lackluster. And this is going to kind of inject color into all of this stuff again, just little by little. Just learning to appreciate the very small things that kind of happen in your life. And I would say that travel is probably one of the best ways. Traveling by yourself is one of the best ways to really accomplish that, and to just kind of separate yourself from everything that's going on, and to just listen and observe, and to not feel like you have to actively be a part of something. that it's okay to just kind of be on the outside and just kind of looking in, because it's definitely going to be just temporary. It's not going to be forever. And I would say, and this is probably what I'll conclude with, is it's not going to be forever that you will be alone. I wouldn't stress yourself out so much with the fact that you are alone. Just really learn to be okay with being by yourself, and use this as a time to really kind of build upon your newfound independence. And I promise you, you're going to be quite astonished with the person you will become. So with that said, I hope this has been a good kind of introduction to this series. Loneliness is a really complex topic because everyone experiences it differently than the next person, but hopefully this was kind of a good overview as to, what it is and how to kind of go about managing it. So please feel free to leave any comments in the video below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this particular topic. So please, stay tuned for the future topics. I'm definitely going to rack my brain and see what other interesting things I can bring to the table in terms of this whole Heartbroken segment. So thank you guys very much for watching, and of course, keep drifting. Take care, guys. Peace out.